Get ready. It's time for a Sermon Sketchnotes Community Member Spotlight with your host, Raven Henderson. Recorded live in front of a Facebook audience. This is your group, and we're about to meet yet another awesome person in our family. Community Member Spotlight starts now.
Another Sermon Sketchnotes Community Spotlight, and today we're getting to know one of our community members named Carolyn Mcguire. Hey, Carolyn.
Hey.
Cool. And Carolyn is joining us live from, is it California?
I am. I'm in Anaheim, California. Happiest place on earth.
Yeah, right, Disneyland.
That's right.
Yeah, I went to high school out in California in the Barstow area.
Whoa. Well, yeah. Little ways away, but that's pretty still.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
So, Kara, Ann, and I had a little chance to talk before you went live, and I was telling her that I picked up my iPad and took it to church to give it a try because I knew I was going to talk to her. I just want to show some of Carol Ann's. Do you go by Carol Ann all the time or just Carol?
Carol Ann.
Okay, all right. I'm in Georgia, so we say Carol Ann when someone has a name like that.
Nice. I always know if somebody doesn't know me because they just call me Carol.
Okay.
You have no idea who I am. Okay.
It's like when people have those mailers that come in their first name when they usually go by their middle name.
Yep.
It's like, oh, junk mail.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if you're watching live or watching a replay, I'm going to put some of Carol Ann's images up so you can be like, oh, yeah, I know her from the group. That's who we're talking to. Because her snowy hair profile picture throws me off sometimes.
This one?
Yes. So tell us, how did you get into Sermon Sketchnoting?
Totally by accident. I hadn't drawn for a long time. I kind of put away all things art and got inspired by a group of kids in New Zealand. I run a nonprofit and I connect students around the world, and kind of got inspired by these kids to start art again. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I haven't done that for a long time. I really used to love it. I would love to go back. So went back to art, and I think it was Karen, maybe Bosch, that kind of got me interested in this whole sketchnoting thing. We kind of came in at about the same time. We know each other from an Apple Distinguished Educator program, and she was starting and I was kind of starting at the same time, and we kind of compare notes. And I just totally fell in love with it. One, I really started paying attention much more in church. And I started doing little sketches in the beginning. You have a copy of my first one, which is horrible. I remember the first time I was sketching that one, I had kind of challenged myself to start sketching sermons, probably from a lot of people, is that I knew I was going to be in church. It was like my constant that I was going to have an opportunity next week to try, and then the next week to try. So this is my first one that I ever did. And I still look at it and go, wow, that was just so horrible. But I could still remember things from that sermon. Like, I still remember why I put that sheep in there and wrote the word dumb, is because, we're just dumb sheep. And it's just like, I still, even looking back, and this is years later, that I could still remember these sermons. And I have in my office at church a whole bunch of sketch notes it's like floor to ceiling sketch notes. And I can go back to almost all of them and tell you why I did something, why I picked that picture, or even colors. Like Jeremiah's empathy. I kind of wanted this muted tones of somebody that's that speaks to this relational, empathetic kind of colors. Like, even in the colors I chose, there's a reason behind it. And kind of discovered something about myself as I'm drawing these. I love color. I love lots of colors. I love color schemes. Sometimes I go online and just look up color palettes, and I keep, I know I say it out loud and it sounds so geeky.
No, I'm laughing because I was doing the same thing last night.
I do. I have these like files of color palettes that I save, and sometimes I'll go back into Procreate and, you know, put my color palettes, order them, you know, kind of put them together so I can, you know, keep kind of color schemes together. Sometimes I go off of, you know, an image and I just pull colors from that image. I think the next one you're going to show is one of those. It was, so Matthew is analytical. I found these pictures of kind of counting beads. Like they were this, I just found it on a website that had like these counting beads. And so I just took the colors from that photograph and used it as my background colors. I just like color. And so I find that the more colors I use, I remember why I used certain things. And so I'm just happy that other people, you know, read my sermons. It's funny because I have one girl on Facebook that is an atheist and does not believe in God at all, and is very vocal on her posts about God, but she reads my sermon notes and it cracks me up because I know she doesn't believe in the God that I'm writing about, but the colors attract her, and she just wants to look and see what is what did I write? What was I writing about? And it's totally personal. Like your sketch notes for everybody is a very personal thing, but it's something that I chose to just kind of share. Like you all, you know, you choose to share this very personal side of you, but I found that people like actually read them, and it's not just me. And it's fun to share them. And so now I teach my students how to take sketch notes. I found that if I can remember sermons, they certainly can remember their history better, and they can certainly remember what's going on in English class better if they start taking notes on chapters and concepts. And I teach them how to use that same technique in the classroom.
Okay, whoa, there's like a whole lot of information right there. I'm like, okay, wait. You're a teacher. Well, that makes sense because you and Karen Ann, or Karen, I'm giving everybody an Ann now.
Hey, Karen. Karen's my buddy.
Yeah, our other teacher in the group, and
he's
here.
Yep.
And I think she was telling us that that she downloads color palettes or looks at color palettes too.
I do. Like it's depending on what mood I'm in, I'm like, I'll look at green color palettes today. And I literally download, it's so silly. I download so many color palettes. But I love it. Like I like to see how people put colors together. Sometimes I'll be driving and take a picture of the sky because I'm like, oh my gosh, God used the most awesome colors today in the sunset. I would never picture putting those colors together, but if it worked for God, it could work for me. So I literally like take pictures in nature of colors that I wouldn't necessarily put together, but hey, it worked. And I keep those colors, I keep those pictures in a color file. So when I want to pull something interesting, because my program on my computer will just like match exact colors. So I literally, I love color.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about your process. Like, so you're using, what are you using? What kind of tablet? I'm assuming it's a tablet.
It's an iPad. So this is my forever iPad that I have had for, I don't know how many years I've gone on this one now. I use them until they absolutely have no memory left, and then I buy another one because I don't dare, like I want to just keep it because it has all of my whole life on this iPad. But I use a a program called Procreate, and we have to say that slow because otherwise, people get really crazy. Well, especially when I'm with students, I'm like, it's called Procreate. They're like, how come you say it so slow? Because that's how you have to do it. I love that app. It's my favorite app. And I've used, I used to do consultation for Apple, so I got a ton of apps for free of, try this, especially in education where people want you to try their app. So I've tried, I don't know, I have a whole iPad filled with art apps. And this is really my app of choice. For me, it's comfortable, it's easy. I like that my thing is I do like little secrets, where you put the grid on and then right before I publish it, I take the grid away. So it looks like I, can write in perfect straight lines, which I can't.
So in your process, because you're doing these live during the sermon, right?
Yep.
So how much of the sermon do you know in advance to be able to do some of these very themed layouts?
I know the title. So this year we've been doing a series on strengths. And so I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach. So I'm familiar with the theme. So I'm familiar with empathy and intellection and like these themes that we're doing. So I do know a little bit going in. I don't know exactly what's going to be said, but I know I have a idea of what the theme at least is. So like for analytical, I choose those counting beads because I know analytical is data driven. So in this series, I've kind of had a little head start where I can start thinking about what the background image is going to be before it starts, but not all the time. So if it's, Easter, I'm going to guess it's going to be on the resurrection. Like it's a pretty good guess. But mostly on a Sunday, I know the title. So I will either sketch something roughly before the sermon starts because I want to get my color schemes together because that way I can pull like background colors. So like I do my text on one layer and then underneath that I do all of the little boxes or whatever is underneath. And that's when I do my colors.
So like during the last song of worship, you're getting ready or during announcements?
Yeah. So
okay.
I'm the worship leader. So wow. There's no prep during worship.
Wow.
But I do have announcements. I do have announcements. But I try. That's why, I try get at least the title before church starts, so I can at least get, kind of like what I think I'm going to do for the background image. Now, a lot of times that changes in the middle of the sermon because, sometimes the title is misleading to what is really.
Okay.
Sometimes the titles are catchy, cute titles, and I have this image in my head of what that means, but not exactly what the sermon was meaning by that catchphrase. So there are many times when halfway through the sermon, I'm like, oh man, I have to scrap this whole idea. And that's when you'll see my sketches. Now you're going to know a little secret. That's when you'll see my sketches become like more color swirls or not an image. So go through like Jeremiah with empathy, or the one with intellection is perfect. So like the blue and yellow, he kind of went in a different direction that I was anticipating. So I had to scrap what image I thought was going to go in the back. Mm-hmm. And then it's happening live. So I just put up blocks of color. So that's where that color palette geekiness in me kind of helps, because I can be like, okay, these three colors look good together. I'll just throw those on my drawing.
That's so cool that you've got that like plan B in mind that you can go to And
yeah, I have to.
you get to because you're working in layers, and if your text is all on one layer, you
Right.
don't like have to pull out a whole new sheet of paper.
Right. Exactly. And another reason I put the text on a separate layer is that if I choose to do it like this one with intellection is actually a really great example, because the original image I had was not that at all. But halfway through the sermon, I'm like, yeah, this is just not going to work. So I have to use blocks of color. Well, I'm deciding this while he's preaching. I don't have a whole lot of time to rearrange things. So the reason I keep my text on that separate image is so I can circle it and move my text. So if it didn't fit in the first, maybe at first I put squares, but now I went circles, I can at least take my text, pick it up, move it to another spot, resize it so it looks like it fits in that spot. And I can do that on the fly. That can happen fairly quickly.
That's so cool. Sorry, it's soaking in. Because like I said, I've attempted before, but like this Sunday, I was like, I'm going to make it through the whole sermon.
Okay, how did it go?
It went okay. Like there was the thing where you said, like, I put in the dot grid underneath as its separate layer. And, but I had a really hard time judging how much of the paper I was using at a time.
Oh, yeah. So my dad is the senior pastor. So
you're PK.
I am. I'm a PK and a pastor's wife. And now I've been doing preaching on Sunday morning, which has been another whole nother ballgame. But I kind of know his rhythm. I know what his intro, like when he's leaving his intro and getting to the meat and when he's doing his conclusion. So when you sit under a pastor long enough, you kind of get the rhythm. So it's easier for me to pace myself in knowing how much of the paper I have left.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't always work when I'm at a conference because I'm sitting under people that I have never heard before. And so it's hard to gauge, when is your conclusion, besides the time on my watch.
Yeah, I've learned when our youth pastor preaches on Sunday morning that like I have to save a lot because he'll talk really long and then squeeze everything in at the last minute.
Yeah. I mean, you just learn, like you learn their little quirks and how they function. And it really is helpful when you know the pastor, their style, because you really can appreciate it.
Can you tell us about the difference when you're preaching and you create sketch notes?
So I didn't start preaching until this year, and it actually happened not for a good reason. My dad, who's the senior pastor, was diagnosed with kidney failure. And so he had to take some time off, obviously, to kind of regroup and get healthy again. And so while he was doing that, my husband and I decided, well, we can tag team preach for a little while he's recuperating. So that's when we started kind of our strengths thing, because I had just written a book on heroes of the faith, and it was a topic that I knew well, that my husband knew well. We could kind of do this series on this topic. So when I got to preach, now I can't do the sketch notes while I'm preaching. So I did these little black and white sketches, like kind of like an outline, and I give them to the church every time I preach. But if someone in this group would love to sketch one of my sermons, I would really love. It's funny because when I'm sketching at a conference, they'll be like, "Oh, I've never been sketched before," and I always think in my head, "Yep, neither have I." I don't even know what that would look like coming out of somebody else's pen. But yeah, so I give these to the church, and they sketch, which is really exciting for me because I get to watch them have that same aha moment. And now people want it. They just want it all the time. But I can't really can't give it for somebody else's sermon because I'm hearing it at the same time they are. So I wouldn't know what the talking points would be. But I can do it for mine. So that's why occasionally in this group you'll see unsketched sketch notes.
I've seen, or I've done, when the times I don't use color, done them like that, more like a coloring book style. And I think Bible Doodle Girl does the same thing, and she gives them away as coloring book. And I've seen people in my church have said that like it helps them remember to go back and color it in later.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or those that have.
Those are the hardest ones to do.
Without the color?
Yeah, because my brain thinks in color. Like I don't know how else to explain it except that when I even dream with colors, like everything is colorful to me. So when you want me to do a sketch note that has no color, it's very hard for me to wrap my brain around. Yes, Karen, they are online. I'm going to send you the link. I would love it, Karen. That would be so awesome.
Do you know the link? Or
it is, I think it's tiny URL, sunlightsermons.com. I can look it up. I think it's tiny. I'm looking it up in my, it is tinyurl.com/sunlightsermons, SON, sunlight.
Oh, it didn't show up.
Let me see. Let me write it in my chat to you and see if I can. Oh, what kind of puppy do you have?
He's a lab mix, a rescue.
Aw, we got 2 rescues here. I think it's the best way to have a dog.
All right, I'm just having issues on
That's
my end trying to get this up. I don't know if you can see me like banging my screen. Like, Joe, up. Chill out, Bo.
Hey, that's not, a lab is not really, chill out might be a hard thing.
He's usually pretty lazy, but he does do good at barking whenever people walk by the house. And I do appreciate that, just not when it's being broadcasted across the country. I love him letting his presence be known. And I love the silhouette he cuts across the window.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, so Karen put Adobe Capture app is great for saving colors. I am going to look at that, Karen. That's like, I love to save these colors. I'm going to do that. Adobe Capture app. I'm writing that down right now so I don't forget.
Cool. And it is in the comments.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So anybody that's watching this on the replay, it's in the comments. I don't know why it's not showing up on the screen.
That's all right.
Yeah. And Karen is your wing woman.
Oh my gosh.
She's also put the tiny URL comment in there so we can see if anybody else is rocking out. So anybody can beat Karen to the punch. Or if there's the whole series. Oh my gosh. Perfect segue, Karen. You've got to tell us more about the Rock Your Strengths thing.
Okay, so Rock Your Strengths is my for-profit company. So like I said, I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach. So I coach people on their strengths. So I don't know if you've ever heard of StrengthsFinder, but it's an online assessment that you take, and it gives you your top 5 themes of talent. So I coach not just people, but a lot of workshops with educators and a lot of workshops with churches, because I really feel like if churches were strengths-based and strengths-driven, we'd see a lot of changes in our church. And I'll give you a great example. We had a couple that we asked to greet at the door. Well, the wife loves people, loves to meet new people. So greeting at the door was fantastic for her, but her husband, greeting a whole bunch of new people, not so much his thing. So It's working on your talents, right? And finding out what people are naturally talented at and then having them do more of it. So in discovering your strengths, I was leading worship one Sunday morning, and I was just in a moment, like you're in this, great worship moment. And I thought, wow, Jesus is the perfect example of all of these strengths. So like somebody could have empathy and like you have a real, like you can feel someone else's feelings. It's like a physical response to another person. But when you look at Jesus as the ultimate empathy, I mean, Jesus feels our feelings like you can't compare that, right? Or I'm an achiever. I like to make a to-do list and get it done, and I like to check things off of my list. But Jesus is the ultimate achiever when he said, it is finished. Because when Jesus says it is finished, that's a little different than me going, oh, I finished my groceries, check off my list. And so that's where this Heroes of the Faith came in. And so I researched for 2 years heroes in the Bible and what they were strong in, when I looked at the evidence of their life, what talents did I see in them? And so that's kind of how this book came to be. And so now I help churches find what they're talented in and really help, get people to see what they're gifted in and talented in, and then use it in the church. Use that talent for God, because God gave you these talents. Use them. So this is my online store. I just found out this morning that my online store is now on the Gallup website, which I'm super, super excited about. It was like one of the most exciting things that happened to me, and I just found out today. So I was like really excited about that. But so that's my Rock Your Strengths. So that's kind of how that came. I did 2 books with them. I did one on just draw on your strengths, and that's just literally sketched out all of your strengths. And then Heroes of the Faith is sketched out with the different heroes. Yeah, that's that one. That's the regular, just what each strength is. And then it was funny because with Gallup, the reason I even wrote this book, I was on a webinar, and as I was listening to the webinar, I was kind of sketching the ideas, kind of like I do in church. My thing is like when he says amen, I'm done. Like hands up, like what's that chef show? Like put your tools down. So that's kind of like my goal in my own, it's my own rule that I made up for myself that nobody else made up for me. But that's kind of my thing. So at the end of this seminar with Gallup, I had, okay, done. And I had posted it right away onto their site. And my coach hooked on, he's like, when did you do this? I said, well, during the conference, I was sketching while I was doing the conference. And he said, you should really publish this. I was like, oh, I got to write a book. Like, who wants to hear a book from me? Like, that's silly. And he's like, no, you really should. So I started writing out each of these themes. But as I was doing it, I was really thinking, wow, God is just, he blows everybody away in these themes. Harmony is getting people to get along. Like, sheesh. God gets us to get along with people. They love your enemies. Like, that's ultimate, right?
True. Now tell us about the Heroes of the Faith.
So Heroes of the Faith, same thing. It's still sketched out. So I have a copy. It's just sketched out, and it's sketched out with the heroes. And so each hero has their kind of own page. And in that, I have a short little Bible study. And in the Bible study, I have questions that you might want to ask yourself. And the questions are interesting because if you have this talent, the questions are super easy for you to answer. If you don't have this talent, they're really hard. And it's really just an interesting look into human life. Just if you are not an achiever, when you go to answer those achieving questions, you're going to have a hard time coming up with answers, where if it was really you, it would be really easy to come up with these answers.
So it's like when you get to the section that's most like you, you're like, it's like
super
butter.
easy.
You're like,
Oh yeah, it just flows. Like when you read the questions and you want to go answer them, you can really answer them. Then you get to one that's not you, and you're just like, for me, I'm not consistent. So consistency is literally my number 34 theme. It's horrible. And I when I found out, I asked my friend, I'm like, oh, I'm really hurt. I'm totally consistent. I show up to work on time. I get my work done. How am I not consistent? And she's like, okay, do you drive to work the same way every day? Like, no. She's like, do you eat leftovers? Nope. Do you, do your hair the same way? I'm like, no. She's like, do you wear and she went through all this list. I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not consistent. And then I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay to give it up. But when it comes to like drawing these and answering the questions, one of the questions on consistency is like, what's your daily schedule, or what's your, daily routine? I don't have a daily routine. There's not one day that's the same routine.
And if it was, it would drive you crazy.
It would drive me crazy. Oh yeah, I would go nuts.
Well, it's dependability and consistency don't always go hand in hand. So
yeah, no, well,
you still have the dependable part.
Right here. Yeah. Dependable, yeah. Consistent, no.
Yeah, I think that's why it hurts sometimes. It's like, but you can count on me. But it's like, yeah, we can. We just don't know exactly what you're going to look like when you show up.
Exactly.
We know you're going to show up. We just don't know.
There's no predictability here.
So is the StrengthsFinders thing, is it Bible-based, or are you bringing your Christianity to it, your faith to it, and interpreting it?
The people that developed StrengthsFinders are Christians. And so when they developed it with faith in the back of their head, developing this. Now it turned into a very business-oriented business. So a lot of big businesses buy this assessment for their teams, and they do it together, and managers use it. So it's not necessarily a faith-based product anymore. But when I looked at it, it was like all I saw was faith-based. It's hard for me to not, how do you look at this and not see somebody in the Bible? How do you not see your spiritual man in here? And so I kind of, I guess, morphed it into who I am a little bit, not just what they intended it to be. But I think they're happy about it because that's really originally, not that they were intending it to be faith-based, but their hearts were faith-based in doing it.
That showed through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the next project you have on schedule?
Oh my gosh. So I'm doing one for teachers. So I want to sketch out all of the StrengthsFinder themes specifically for teachers. But the project that I'm working on right now is sketching out children's sermons that go with it. So as I'm doing the adult sermon, so the church is going through a series. So as we're going through this series, I'm at the same time writing the children's curriculum that goes with it. Mm-hmm. So our kids in our church are learning about these talents, not necessarily that they have these talents, but what they are and what they look like, and how God is the ultimate example of these talents. But my next project is I'm sketching the children's curriculum that goes along with Heroes of the Faith. So that's really my number one project that I'm working on right now. But aside from that, I'm doing a teacher's project too.
It looks like you got Karen excited about that.
You did your StrengthsFinder, right, Karen? I think Karen did. Anyways, it's an assessment that a lot of businesses use. So a lot of businesses use it for their companies. But I just see God in it.
Cool. How does it compare to Enneagram? or is Enneagram more personality testing?
I think it's more personality. This is really how you process the world, or how you show up to the world. Are you showing up, like, are you mathematical? Are you data driven? Are you like, how are you thinking? Where it's not necessarily, you can still be an extrovert or an introvert and be an achiever. Like, you can be either one, because it's not how your personality is showing up, it's how your brain is processing.
Cool. Karen says she has her book now.
Yay! You send me your is it your book, Karen? Because I want to get a copy of that.
Or if it's her book on strength finding.
Oh, you have, because if it's her book, I'll be getting that one too.
Everybody's doing books. Yay!
You know what? I never thought I would be doing this. I really didn't. I never had any aspirations to write a book, but when it happens, and it's just an expression of who I am and what I believe and what I can bring to the world. And when people buy it, you're just like, wow, I would have put that out there anyway. You know, like, I'm just excited that somebody else, oh yeah, she did. So I'm just excited that somebody else is excited about it. Input, achiever, strategic, deliberative, maximizer. Oh, I have maximizer envy. I do.
What's maximizer? I want to hear about that.
Maximizer is being able to get people from good to great. It's naturally seeing a reoccurring strength in someone. And I know Karen is an amazing teacher, but with a maximizer as that teacher, you're able to see what each child is truly gifted at, but not good is not good enough. You want to get them to great. You want to make those big leaps with them. And if you've ever seen Karen in any kind of educational setting, you will know she is a perfect example of how to maximize kids' strengths.
Karen, you have a list of all of your tools for sketchnoting in the classroom and just in general. So you should share your link as well again, because we have a whole spotlight interview with Karen as well that I should figure out how to link to, because I think Karen is the one that introduced me to you when you showed up in the group.
I learned so much from Karen. I mean, I really learned so much from everybody. I really look forward to Sundays as everybody's posting their sermons that come out. But when you had asked me to do this, I just thought, God, there's so many giants in this group that are doing so many amazing things. It was just, I felt very honored, but very humbled to even be here.
Well, I'm glad you accepted. That's what makes it awesome, is that we're constantly learning from each other as we're learning from the Lord. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's cool that that environment is here. It's not competitive. That it is.
I learned so much, like even just like little things that people are doing that I just learn, like how they're posting who the pastor is. Like some people draw a picture, some people put the name. Like it's just, I go through every one. So all of you people that are posting on here every week, I am the one that reads all through all of your sermons. I love it. Yep, we learned together. And Karen's URL is tinyurl.com/iPad sketchnotes. Sweet. And if you have not seen her class, she's phenomenal.
Yeah, I like the way both of y'all do so much with lettering. That's one of the things that, okay, so do you have any tips and tricks for getting good lettering on the iPad? Because I thought for a while, I was like, that must be a font she's using. She must be typing this out. Like,
no,
what's going on here?
I love font. Okay, so I collect fonts like I collect color palettes, which is, I know, super geeky, but I love fonts. So if I see like a great font on a website or wherever, as I'm looking around Pinterest or wherever it is, I grab it. And if I can find that font where I could see how they did all of the letters, that's even better, because then I know sometimes like they do the E just slightly different than the other letters. So even when I did my books, when I look back, like I kind of giggle because like I would do one sketch note and I could tell what font I was looking at that time, because like one was like they did capital E's in the middle of all their words. Like it was just like they just wrote their E as a capital. So I was like, oh, I'm totally gonna do that. So I would do, I would sketch my sketch note, and then like suddenly a capital E would just, appear. But I love it. So I collect fonts and colors. I know, it's super geeky, isn't it?
You're in the right place.
I know. I really appreciate it, because like I feel like I kind of don't have to explain the geekiness.
You're in the right place. I'm sure all of us have our Pinterest boards full of fonts or handwritten fonts, and then so full silly. Of icons. And it's fun a different way. And I think Rob, is it DeMeo? He told me I need to go back and watch it. But like I think he recently did a like, how would you draw soul? And
I saw that. That was great.
Yeah.
That was great. I mean, it was just a good challenge. Like, it was just a good way to look at it. Just like, wow. But when was it he that did the one that with the black all coming out of the soul? Like one was black and one was like this nice.
I don't know. I think you may get like way more into all of the comments more than I do even.
I really do. I love them. Like, I just totally geek out on everyone's. Sunday's my favorite day, because I come home from church and I'm like, ooh, what'd they post today? Let's see what everybody did. Yep, that's the one. We're all the black.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great image.
I remember the top one with the music.
Yeah.
And stuff. But of course you would go to the one that's intense with the color.
I know. Oh well. Everybody's gotta have their thing, right?
Yes. But and next week we're talking to Natalia in Slovakia, and she's she's a founder, or she's heading up a scripture union up there and doing a lot with Bible icons, with drawing out the different icons.
Oh, so wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you're doing this. Thank you. Thank you for like even interviewing different people, because it's been really fun to just go back and look at them and see what everybody's doing and hear their stories. And I really appreciate it. I was so glad I'm so glad when Karen even told me about it. I was like, there's a group? There's other people that do this? That's awesome.
Yeah, I think Craig almost said the exact same thing last week. Like, there's more of us out here. But it has been really fun, and it's been fun to get to know people more than just their sketch notes, and like we start picking up on each person's handwriting and tools and how they do things, and then their icon pictures, their profile pictures. But then we get to see everyone in motion as well.
They're a real person.
Yeah. They're a real person working with Will and Jada Pinkett Smith.
I did for many years. They were my bosses. They were fantastic bosses. I just want you to know, like, they were great.
So you're part behind Will Smith doing all of these motivational posts now.
Oh yeah, no. I would like to say that, but no, he's all on his own out there. But he's a very motivational guy. I mean, he's just I can only explain it if you've ever seen Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Mm-hmm. That's who he is. It's really not fair because he wasn't acting. Everybody else. He's just silly, but he's so smart. He's very intelligent. Very, very deep, smart person, but just so silly and welcoming. And when we had events, it was interesting for me because I would sit, and just watch. He would go to every single person and welcome when I say every single person, the sound man, whoever's serving food, every person, he greeted everyone. And I was like, he didn't have to do that. Like, that's just nice.
Yeah.
That's just a nice person. So yeah, I enjoyed working for them. It was fun. Yeah.
So teaching, doing all the StrengthsFinder things, doing the nonprofit things with those kids as well.
Yeah.
Worship leading, being a pastor's wife, preaching too. Oh my God.
When you say it like that, make a list. It does kind of sound like you're talking about somebody else. I think I just take them as they come. Okay, today I'm a pastor's wife. Great. Okay. No, but it's fun. I love doing what I do. I love where I'm at. I love this group. I get so much inspiration from the other people in this group and from you and from just watching their, even just watching their sermons through their eyes, just to see what is it that they picked out of this sermon that they thought was important. She's a little bit crazy. You didn't meet me, a little Karen, did you? Maybe a little bit, like that much. It's all good. It's a good crazy.
So how does everyone, we talked about, let's everybody keep up with you. To find out more about Rock Your Strengths and the StrengthsFinder and your books and your mugs and those stickers that she showed us on her iPad, like she has those on her store in the Rock Your Strengths
They're
store.
literally everywhere, these stickers. They're everywhere. I have them. I did this for my teachers, which you're really not going to get unless you're in middle school. But if you like the series of selection series, it's kind of like The Bachelor meets Hunger Games. I did the series titles on the backs of shirts for our teachers at our school. It's just super geeky. I just have letters and I can make stuff, and I love doing it for people. So
Sweet. Yeah, I'm out of middle school ministry. I was there for a while. So
we were there. My husband was a middle school youth pastor for 28 years. So I was there for a long time. And then what did I do? I chose right back to go to middle school.
Yeah, I think I did 2 lock-ins.
Yep.
With a couple hundred kids, and was like, no more. Yep. Like, I stopped being nice, Miss Raven, when I didn't have sleep. I was like, I feel like the grace has left me.
Yeah.
For this season.
That's when we kind of looked at each other like, we really need younger people that are doing this.
I was like, I got pretty good at Dance Dance Revolution.
That's right. That's right.
My own collection of those little rubber bands that like made little animal shapes.
Yep.
And such. But I could only do it for so long.
I know. And how I ended up back in a middle school, I have no idea. I do love it. Like they're just quirky kids. They're not adults. They're not kids. One day the world is great. 5 minutes later, it's horrible. But I love it.
We used to say
because they're not consistent.
And and it's you, like we used to say that with hormones and stuff, it's like they've had like an 8-pack of crowns their whole life, and then all of a sudden they got a 256-pack of crowns and emotions, and are just playing with them all, and we're like trying to keep up.
That is my life every day. Maybe that's why I like so much color, because it's like all over the place.
And if you loved consistency, you wouldn't be able to handle it.
That's true. I think now we're talking about it. Like, I think that's why I like middle school, because they are anything but consistent. They're really not. There's not one kid that is consistent in anything. And I love it. I love it. So for all you people out there that think middle school is this crazy section of your life, it is, but there are actually people that enjoy it. So
which one would be Karen Ann? I can say that I'm no longer in that crowd.
We're not in the youth ministry anymore, but
okay.
I feel like my teaching job is a ministry. Karen's lucky; she's in a Christian school, but I have a alarm on my phone that rings every day at 1:16, and it's like halfway through the school year. And the students that have me during that period finally asked me, "Why does your phone ring every day at 1:16?" I said, "Oh, it rings every day at 1:16. Saturdays, Sundays, every day at 1:16. Like, why? Like, well, since you asked, Romans 1:16 says, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So at 1:16, when my phone goes off, whoever is sitting right in front of me, I pray for. So I could be in the grocery store. I can be in front of my class. I could be in front of the principal. I don't know, whoever it is. At 1:16, when my phone rings, I pray for whoever is right there. And so now when my phone rings at 1:16, you're like, pray for my brother. Pray for my dog. Pray for my... They throw out prayer requests. But I'm in a public school, but they asked me why my phone goes off so I felt it was fair to answer them why it goes off. So there you go. If you have any teachers, friends out there that need to share the gospel or just want to make people know like prayer is not over in public schools, 1:16. It's usually the middle of the day. And I just have it literally goes off every single day, 1:16.
Wow. Although on Sundays that might catch me about nap time. But
yeah, sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. And God, pray for me right now.
But this is right on time. Like my church, we've been talking a lot about not necessarily evangelism, just sharing the gospel, like you said, or who's our neighbor. Yeah. Instead of looking at like who's our neighbor, figuring out like which crowd we're neighboring to, but how to be a neighbor. Mm-hmm. And then the analogy of the orange grove, where how oranges are picked by tapping them, and if they're ripe, they'll fall. Yeah. So like our job is just to share, and if it's ripe, it'll fall. We are not supposed to go out there and wrestle people to Christ. Right. Right. It was funny because in one of my sermons I talked about that. They said that, my parents taught me that we're fishers of men. Right. The last time I saw two fishermen out on a boat, they weren't yelling over the side, "Hey, get in the boat!" They're not yelling at the fish to come. They're quietly putting out something that's interesting that they want to catch. Right? You're putting bait out in front of them that is enticing to them. And that's how you catch fish. You're not screaming at them. You're not yelling at them to get in the boat. It's a quiet way to ask people, look at my life, examine my life. You're going to see yuck, just like you're going to see yuck in everybody's life. But be a fruit inspector. I mean, that's your job. That's my job. Like we're fruit inspectors. What is the fruit? What fruit are they bearing? I like that too with everyone in our group sharing their sketch notes. And I know not everyone shares all the time in the group, but like you said, and I've seen it in my life, that people I know who have been hurt from the church or are not interested in, or say they're not interested in hearing anything about God. Oops, I lost you. Let me put you back in the main group. I don't know what happened. Okay. People who say that they're not interested in hearing anything about God will see the Bible journaling or sermon sketch notes and want to have a conversation about it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I have one lady in particular that's in my Facebook group that is very anti-Jesus, anti-God, but she does want to hold conversations about these little doodles or sketches or whatever it is that's on there. And I was like, hey, whatever it takes. Like if you're reading this, I'm putting it out. I'm going to continue to put it out every week, whether I'm proud of it or not proud of it. If you're reading it, it's a way for me to share the gospel without screaming it at you. You don't have to read it.
But I mean, like, if more people did that for their sermons, it's just a way to get God's message out there in a very simple way. But I have found that if you handwrite it, people want to read it. It's like they're reading your private notes, and you really are. You really are. When you're reading my sketch note or your sketch, you're reading my private thought of why I thought that was important. It might not be, it's not a quote. Sometimes it's a quote, but a lot of times it's not a quote. It's what I felt that I needed at that moment. And that's why I wrote it down. So in a sense, when you are reading these sketch notes, you're reading like a private journal that we're all saying, here you go. This is the gospel. This is what it means to me. And it's my private, time with God that I'm sharing with you.
I like that. It's like probably some of the most authentic social media posts we can put out there.
There's
definitely
no
filters.
No. There's no spell check on handwriting. Unfortunately, it would be nice, like if you could, if your pen automatically put a little line underneath it when you wrote it, when you wrote and it was the wrong spelling, but there's not. And it's authentic, it's real, it's raw sometimes, it's personal. It's a moment that you get to catch a glimpse of inside someone else's spiritual man. And I don't think there's very many opportunities to do that, to really look into somebody's spirit. But when you're watching somebody take notes on their sermon, you really are catching like a glimpse of, wow, that sparked something in you. It must mean something important. Let me look into it a little deeper. I want to read that verse or whatever it is.
Right.
And if it doesn't speak to you, then I planted a seed, and somebody else, maybe your sketch note will do it. Maybe somebody else's sketch note will do it. We'll grab them. But I want to leave little marks, so people can follow the dots and see Jesus.
Yeah. And we're leaving them for ourselves.
Yeah. And for our families. So, my dad is the pastor, but I always bind up every year's sermons. We bind them in a hardback book and give it to him every year. He gets them throughout the whole year, but there's something about get it in a book, and Karen actually gave the idea of putting it into, what was that program, Karen, that you used? Book Creator, into Book Creator. And I was like, oh, that'd be way easier than what I was doing. I was making it much more complicated on myself. But there's something about handing them this legacy that they've given the church. Now that I've been preaching, I know the time and energy it takes to put that together, and the gift that somebody gives you back of, you know what? I heard you. I not only heard you, I wrote it down. I paid attention. I took a piece of what you said and it landed right here. And now I'm going to give it back to you so you can see what that looked like for me. It's a gift. I mean, it's not just a gift for us. It's a gift, back to that person that, wow, you really heard me. You really, God used me. I mean, I think it's a beautiful gift to give back to your pastors. Just to say, we heard you. And I come home after a Sunday of preaching. I am more tired on a Sunday than I am ever of working with 1,200 middle school students. I mean, there's just something draining about that, about being in that kind of spiritual mindset. And so I appreciate all of the work that you guys are doing in your sketchnoting in this group, because that's what it represents to me. It represents you listened, you heard, you took something away that meant something to you. Okay, this is my baby now. Hold on. This is who doesn't? bark. She howls. Okay, that's it. Sorry.
No worries. If I didn't have my headphones in, Boaz would be barking too if he heard it.
Oh my. Anyways.
Well, we're a little bit past the hour, so I appreciate you being able to reschedule, for you committing to do this in the first place. For Karen, wow, there's so many things to thank Karen for in this meeting, for being here live, for making it possible by sharing with you and getting you into Sermon Sketchnotes in the first place, and
so
all of that. So thank you so much, Karen, and for your resources she shared at tinyurl/iPad Sketchnotes. And let's recap the ways to keep in touch with you, Carolyn, is rockyourstrengths.com. Your nonprofit, do you have
it's Rock Our World at rockourworld.com is or .org is me.
.org.
.com is actually Rocks and Minerals. So if you get Rocks and Minerals, that's not me.
Everybody be staring at the screen waiting for your text to show up.
When is it coming? But that's a different, it's very different. The nonprofit is just about kids and schools and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, no, you can get in touch with me through Rock Your Strengths. My email is carolan@rockyourstrengths.com. So feel free. I'd love to hear from anybody. I want to learn from you all. I feel like I am amongst giants. I know I said that before, but I really feel that way. I feel that sometimes I have nothing really to give, but except maybe color and some fonts.
Which are things we all enjoy.
But I love being a part of this group, and I love watching all of your sketches as they come in. It just really touches my heart. They all do, and I read them all. I go through everyone. It's just my Sunday. I love Sundays when they all start rolling in.
Sweet. All right. Well, we're going to say bye to everyone for this broadcast. Thank you for everybody that's watching the replay. Thank you for Karen for keeping track of all the URLs that were mentioned.
Thanks, Karen.
And thank you for Carolyn for being our guest. Next week, we'll be talking to Natalia from Slovakia, and that'll be exciting as well. And I think after that, we're talking to Ross Boone in Atlanta, who's one of my workplace buddies at the Sketch Effect that we go out and do live graphic recording. We haven't been on a gig together yet, but it's fun. And yeah, so again, thank you, Carolyn, and I'll see you in the group.
All right. Thanks for having me.